I was enjoying a quiet afternoon at my lake cabin, a place I bought years ago to escape the noise of the world. Just me, the water, and the peace I earned. Then, out of nowhere, the HOA president, let's call her Karen, showed up, visibly agitated. She wasn't alone. She had her special guests with her, uninvited, expecting me to unlock my door immediately. Her demand was blunt. You have to let them in. It's for the community. My first thought? Since when did community become code for everyone but me deciding how I use my own property? I calmly told her no. And that's when things started to spiral. You see, most people in my shoes might have just opened the door, smiled, and avoided trouble. But not me. Because sometimes saying no is the only way to stop entitlement in its tracks. What happened next? Well, let's just say this was far from a simple disagreement over a door. It sparked a battle over control, respect, and what it truly means to be part of a community. I'm about to tell you how an ordinary refusal turned into an extraordinary showdown with a woman who thought her authority was absolute, and how I fought back with everything I had. If you've ever had to deal with someone who believes rules apply to everyone except themselves, you'll want to stick around for this. Ready for a tale of entitlement, defiance, and a whole lot of drama? Let's jump in. My lake cabin sits on the edge of a small, picturesque community. Quiet neighbors, scenic views, the kind of place people dream of escaping to on weekends. When I moved in, the HOA seemed like a helpful structure to keep the place nice and orderly. But the HOA president, Karen, quickly proved that order meant her way. Karen had a reputation. She was the kind of person who loved to micromanage everything, from lawn decorations to parking spots. At first I figured it was just a quirky local personality. No big deal. That all changed the day she showed up at my cabin with her guests. Two strangers, confidently assuming my hospitality without invitation. It's for the community, Karen insisted, waving off my protests. I explained that while I respect community rules, my cabin is private property and I control who enters. Her expression soured. You can't just say no to people approved by the HOA. That's not how it works, I said firmly. She leaned in, voice low but sharp. You'll regret this. I dismissed it as empty threats. But soon after, the trouble began. A letter slipped under my door. A violation notice for minor infractions I hadn't committed. Another day, I overheard neighbors murmuring, wondering if I was the problem. Even some friends grew cautious, wary of crossing the powerful HOA president. Karen's attitude wasn't just about rules, it was about control and power. And I was about to become her target. One evening, as I returned from a walk, I found my dock ropes mysteriously cut. No note, no explanation, just sabotage. That was the moment I realized this was more than a petty dispute. Karen was escalating, and this was just the beginning. I knew I had to prepare. But how do you fight someone who wields community influence like a weapon? The harassment ramped up fast and furious. First came the fines, hundreds of dollars for violations so vague they seemed made up on the spot. Like that time I got dinged for unauthorized decorations when my welcome mat was just a welcome mat. Then, the threats. Notes taped to my door with sharp words. Next time, we won't be so nice. One morning my mailbox was smashed to bits. I started waking up anxious, wondering what Karen or her allies might do next. At a community meeting, Karen launched a public tirade against me. This isn't just about one cabin, she declared. It's about respecting the rules that keep us safe and beautiful. Except, the rules only seemed to apply to me. Some neighbors backed her, some stayed silent, but a few confided their own frustrations with Karen's overreach. The tension was palpable, like a powder keg waiting to explode. I fought back with logic and calm. I challenged every fine, appealed every decision. A few times I got wins, fines dropped, accusations withdrawn, but each victory felt small compared to the ongoing pressure. One night, I discovered fresh damage. Someone had cut my garden lights and thrown garbage near my door. I couldn't help but chuckle bitterly. Only in a suburban HOA drama would a locked door trigger this level of madness. Despite the chaos, I stayed grounded. I knew reacting with anger wouldn't help. Instead, I started planning. If Karen wanted a war, she'd get one. I realized I had to be smarter, not just louder. First, I documented everything. Every note, every damage, every interaction with Karen or the HOA board. My phone became my best friend, recording conversations and suspicious activity. Next, I quietly connected with neighbors who had also felt Karen's heavy hand. Many were relieved someone was willing to stand up. Then came the visual statement. I installed a security camera, discreet but clear, pointing right at my front door and dock. Alongside it, I put up a tasteful yet firm sign. Private property. Access by invitation only. Trespassers will be recorded. It was subtle, but it sent a message. When Karen tried to push through again with unannounced visitors, the camera caught her clearly. That footage became my ace in the hole, but I didn't stop there. I organized a petition for a community vote to review Karen's authority and transparency. I presented my evidence, shared stories from other neighbors, and showed how her leadership was divisive and abusive. The HOA board couldn't ignore the growing dissent. Meanwhile, I hosted a casual community BBQ, nothing political, just neighbors gathering. Slowly, solidarity built. People saw me not as a troublemaker, but as someone standing up for fairness. The calm before the storm was almost peaceful. I had the evidence, the support, and the patience. Justice was no longer a dream, it was imminent. The next HOA meeting was electric. Karen walked in, confident and ready to dominate the room. But this time, I wasn't alone. I had neighbors, board members, and video evidence on my side. The security footage played, clear as day, showing her attempts to enter my property uninvited, her threats, and even moments of sabotage caught on camera. Murmurs grew into conversations. Karen's smug facade cracked. Then came the vote. With a decisive majority, Karen was removed as HOA president. As she packed up, stunned and defeated, I stood and addressed the room. A community should protect its members, not control them. It should respect boundaries, not trample them. This cabin, and every home here, is a sanctuary. Today, we reclaim that. The applause was steady. Some neighbors came up afterward thanking me quietly. Others simply nodded, the weight of relief clear on their faces. That moment of slow-motion justice was sweeter than I imagined. A simple no had sparked a revolution. Karen left, her reign ended, not with a bang, but with the steady power of truth and community standing up together. Now, as I sit on my dock, watching the sun dip below the lake's horizon, I'm reminded that sometimes, the smallest acts of courage make the biggest difference. This story isn't just about a locked door or an HOA president's tantrum. It's about standing firm when faced with entitlement, about protecting what's yours with grace and resolve. If there's one lesson here, it's that power without accountability only breeds chaos, and it's up to us to hold that power to account. So here's my question to you. What would you have done in my place? Would you have stood firm, or given in to keep the peace? How do you handle those who think rules don't apply to them? If you made it to the end, comment below with justice served. And if you have your own stories of standing up to entitlement or unfairness, please share. I'd love to hear them. Thanks for listening to this long tale of locked doors and unlocked truths. Remember, boundaries aren't walls, they're respect. Keep yours firm, and don't be afraid to say no. Until next time, may your doors, and your dignity, stay securely yours.